What's up, gaming world? Welcome to the latest short pause discussion. I am, of course, Ben Boyce. You can find me on Twitter at Piccolo930. Got the full squad assembled here. Tonight we're going to talk about the Taken King, 1 month later. So we've been playing the hell out of this game, probably for too long, and we're finally ready to sit down and have a discussion about it. So joining me, as always, my right-hand man, Mr. Brent Felsing.
Hello.
Find him. Is it at the dude 1979? Is that your Twitter?
I think it's at the dude 1979 or something along those lines.
You've got so many different variations of the dude. I just can't keep up with all your stuff here.
It's annoying. I'm sorry.
So we'll find you at the dude 1979. How you feeling tonight, bud?
I'm good, man. I'm washing my hands of destiny, so it feels good to be clean. I'm on the other side and excited to talk about it.
A recovering addict. Good, good. Also, of course, we have our compadres, Bender Holt. You can find him on Twitter at Bender82. Is that correct? Or no, Bender
underscore.
I can't keep up with all these Twitter handles.
I know.
Bender_guitar. What's up, bud?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good, man. Rocking the Zelda cap for tonight's outing. I like it.
Always.
Always a solid choice. And rounding out the, what do you call four people? Quartet, I guess? Rounding out the quartet, Frankie Ayler. What's up, bud?
Just living the dream. Did you hear that? Hear that triple beep again?
Sure.
I love my PS4.
Of course, you can find Frankie at Viper Strike. That's VYPRSTRYKE. Is that correct?
Absolutely. That's across everything because I like to be simple.
Yeah.
Take note.
Piccolo 930 on everything.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
I like to be simple too, but that everything was taken. So.
Stop taking Bender's handles. You hear that?
Yeah.
You hear that, internet? Stop it.
Give them back now.
But, as I mentioned, we are assembled here not to talk Twitter shenanigans, but to talk Destiny, the Taken King. 1 month later, it's been a month since this game released, fundamentally changed the Destiny that we all knew and loved for the first year. And it's high time we sat down and talked about it, everything that's going on with this game. So, fellas, we're just gonna have a kind of open conversation about the game. First thing I want to start with, though, is just from a broad perspective. Update 2.0 and the Taken King has fundamentally changed Destiny as we know it. We have, the gameplay is completely different than the first game that we started playing in September of last year. Bender, I want to start with you on this. Take us through your thoughts on things like the new UI, the new quest system, the new loot system, light system. What are you thinking about all these changes that have come to Destiny with the Taken King?
I think the changes are mostly to all positive. From the moment you boot up the game after the Taken King launched, you can tell an immediate difference. From the intro music that plays when you launch the game is completely different. You get into the game, the UI is different. They've got all the new quest system, which really kind of simplifies things, and you've got your bounties that you can turn in from the quest page, which is awesome. You no longer have to fly back to the tower. Makes things so much simpler.
Yes.
And I still haven't played through everything there is to play in the Taken King. There's so much to do, so many quests that, and more quests are being discovered all the time. So there's a lot to be excited about when it comes to the Taken King. So many positive changes, a few negative changes, which I'm sure we'll get into at some point, but mostly positive stuff. I like it a lot.
Felsing, specifically the new quest system. What do you think about that?
I liked it. I like how you weren't really sure when these quests were going to pop up. You had to accomplish certain things for them to pop up. But no, I like the new system in there. I know there's going to be a lot of quests added in over time. I think that's really cool. You go through, play whatever quest that you get assigned, run around trying to find some of the hidden ones, and then more will be, gradually implemented into the system. So I think that's really cool. I like how they do it. It keeps things fresh. You don't have to keep just doing the same strikes over again. There's going to always be new quest systems in there, or quest stories for you to go in there and do.
Gotcha. Frankie, what are your thoughts on this? Specifically from you, I'm interested in what you think about the new light system, the way that's set up, and also how Bungie's tried to address the way loot drops in this new game. So how they they try to give you more frequent loot things that you like. It's less of a random thing, more of a progression throughout the game. What do you think about the way Bungie's implemented all this stuff with the Taken King?
Well, in terms of the new light system, I think they made a lot of smart choices with it this time around. Before you were relying on blind loot drops, and now basically you can take any piece of purple or exotic gear you have that you're fond of, and if you've anything that you find that has any higher value, you can just infuse it straight into it. So if you have a helmet that you found now, you're going to be able to carry that throughout year 2 with you, as long as you're finding things that are of a higher value.
Mhm.
So I think that's cool, just because that does leave all the customization open. So you're going to have people not having to have a certain helmet, so everyone doesn't look the same. So I think they've kind of made it cooler in terms of that, just so everyone has a different looking Guardian. So good.
Yeah.
In terms of the loot drops, I'm not really sure how I feel about it still. I'm sure we've all come across a couple of the quest lines that are taking you into the Crucible, and I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I typically don't excel in the Crucible, especially if it's under a certain condition, like having to use the last word. The hand cannons even just got nerfed, so doing that now is even more of a challenge than it would have been before. But ultimately, I do think it's cool that before you're relying completely on just luck. Am I going to get a Galahorn this week? Ever? Maybe? Who knows? Now it's like, all right, well, I have this quest line for this gun called the Chaperone. If I can ever finish the steps for this quest, I'm definitely going to get this gun. So I do think it's cool that you have a guaranteed route to finding something. So, and even like Brent mentioned, we're still seeing quests pop up for these new guns all the time. So I think that was, for the most part, a big positive change as well.
Yeah.
I was going to mention the one thing I like about the loot system now is, actually, I mean, at first I loved it. When we first started playing, I absolutely loved the loot system because there were so many drops. I don't know if you guys remember that first couple of weeks. We were just like, man, there are so many drops. And each weapon that we were getting at the time was, slightly better than the next, slightly better than the next. But now that we've hit our light levels up towards the 290s, we're all in the mid 290s, close to 300, I'm starting to notice a lot of these drops are becoming useless drops now. Like, they're not as exciting as they were when we first started playing the Taken King. Now I'm getting a lot of 267s, a lot of 275s, even 282s, and it's just like, I can't do anything with this thing. I'm trying to. Now the 290 weapons or the higher weapons have become almost a rarity, like really rare. So that's kind of disappointing to get used to, because you start off with the Taken King and there are so many drops and all these different weapons. You're like, what one do I want to use now? But it just seems like now it's really tough to find a good weapon, even if you don't want to use it, to infuse it into one of your other ones that you really like.
Yeah, I out in the wild, in terms of like engrams and like stuff that's dropped, I haven't gotten anything above like 299. So I'm wondering if maybe that's the cap in terms of stuff that drops, and then this is by design. They want you to go into the raid to try to get some of the higher level stuff that's going to drop after that. But I don't know. Have you guys had anything drop above 299?
I have a 300 fusion rifle, and I'm pretty sure I got it in a drop.
Okay. I have a 300 fusion rifle too. I got it from a quest though. So we got 3, so maybe 300 is the cap.
Yeah, I think
what drops out in the wild.
Oh.
I think I got a 300 something, and that's what I infused into my sniper rifle. So I can't remember what it was. And I think the other highest drop I got was that ghost shell for 297.
Gotcha. But you, Frankie, anything exceeding 300 in terms of the drops?
In the raid, yes, but
Yeah.
outside of that, no.
Yeah.
The highest I've gotten outside the raid was a 299 auto rifle.
Gotcha. Yeah, I have a 299 like either helmet or chest piece. Don't remember which it is, but that's the highest drop I've seen. So, like I said, it seems like by design, once you get to a certain level, they're like, look, if you want to progress any further, kind of like Destiny was set up before, they want you to get into the raid. They want you to try to get the higher level gear from that setup. So, I mean, I guess it makes sense. That's the way we've been playing the game from the beginning.
Right.
The other thing I like that they've done is they've questified almost the entire game now. So no matter what type of player you are, if you're a PvP player and that likes the Crucible and you just like to play the Crucible, you have a quest system that you can follow now. So you can get into some of the the loot and have a designated path that you can follow to the rewards that you want. And then if you're a PvE player, you have that option as well. Everything in the game, there's some type of a structure that you can follow in order to get what you want. And if you like to do both, obviously you get the best of both worlds. But they've set it up so no matter what type of player you are, and even with the way they've changed the mark system, just having one currency across both Crucible and PvE, you can, it's a more unified experience now. So you can really play Destiny how you want, get the stuff you want, playing the game the way that you want to play. So I think that was a great design decision from Bungie. So that pretty much covers the game from a broad perspective. What I want to touch on now is the actual story itself.
Before we move on, I have one question I just want to ask you guys. How long did you guys keep your year 1 weapons before you just started accepting the new drops?
Now, if you're talking about how long did it take for us to start using the year 2 weapons and not using the year 1 weapons, that was day 1 for me. Mm-hmm. Like as soon as I got something higher level, higher attack power than I was using the Vision of Confluence at the time. Mm-hmm. As soon as I got something higher attack power, I just started using it, and then from then on just started using the blues and greens that would drop, and moved on from there. But I still have many of my year 1 weapons. I haven't dismantled, especially all of the signature ones. Still have my Vision, still have my Fatebringer. I can't bring myself to dismantle them just yet. So I'm sure as my vault space gets low, I'm sure I'll have to make some tough choices. But right now, I still have most of my year 1 stuff.
Yeah, I'm with you, Bender. I still have some of the stuff like Icebreaker and the Fang and some of the stuff that I used a lot during year 1. I don't know, just in case the off chance Bungie does something where you maybe use that again in the future. Just keep like Gallarhorn and all that kind of stuff. You just keep some of those stuff around. They're not taking up too much space right now in terms of the vault. Personally, I actually used the year 1 weapons all through the campaign when we first played through it. So I just rolled with the Fang of Youth and Invective, and just rolled through the whole campaign with it. And just doing the base level stuff at the time, it was powerful enough to get through that. But after that, then I kind of, moved on from there, got into some of the stuff that you do after the story, and started to use some of the newer weapons and that kind of stuff that would drop. What about you, Frankie?
Well, I like Bender. Once we started getting drops that were higher values, I think I did the first 2 story missions like you with the Fang, and I wasn't using Invective. It was another shotgun I had, but 2 missions in, we started getting higher drops. So I immediately was like, well, there's no sense in just continuing on using these. So, but like you guys, mine are sitting in the vault. I have no intention of getting rid of them. It's really like all the souvenirs we have left from year 1, really. So I'm probably gonna hold on to those things as long as I can.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, I think the only one that I really hung on to that I was really using, like in terms of the year 1 stuff, was I used the Vision early, and the Gallarhorn was actually pretty effective in some spots. But once you got the sword, I was just like, I don't really care about the Gallarhorn anymore. But yeah, once I got I think it was an answering cord early on. That was significantly higher damage than the Vision. That's when I was just like, okay, I think I'm done with these ones.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, when I was getting those early drops on some of the newer stuff, I couldn't get a feel for the gun at first. So I was like, well, I'm going through the story. I'm still doing decent damage with this old stuff, so I'll just roll through with that, and then I'll try and get a feel for some of this other stuff maybe after the fact. And then that's kind of the way it played out for me. So that's the Taken King from a broad perspective. But let's get a little bit deeper into the story of the actual Taken King. Let's start with you on this one, Felsing. How do you feel about just the story of Taken King, just from a storytelling level, like in terms of how it compares to the original Destiny, how this story stands on its own? What do you think about the actual nuts and bolts story of the Taken King?
I thought it was more entertaining. I was still confused. I was like, why is the Queen going out after this guy? I still didn't know what kind of led up to that. I was kind of curious about all that, but I mean, overall, I thought it was an entertaining story. We all talked about it, over and over on the podcast. Nathan Fillion just kind of unleashed in his role as Cade Six, brought a lot of humor to the story. It didn't. When you played Destiny the first time, the vanilla version, it almost took itself too seriously. Whereas this time around, they kind of, lay back a little bit, let their actors do their thing, have some fun with it. communiques between Cade 6 and Eris and Zavella or whoever.
Yeah, he was basically saying everything we were thinking about Eris. So
Exactly. Basically everything every Destiny player would think every time Eris would open her mouth, Cade 6 was saying it for us. And that's what made it that much more fun. It was just really, really funny. But there were just a lot of cool set pieces in the story. There was a lot of variety to the story. There were some spots in there where you're like, oh, that's pretty cool. The ending left a lot open. We're still trying to figure out what's going on with that. Mm-hmm. But no, I thought it was just a much more entertaining, engrossing story, and it was bolstered by the voice actors and allowed to kind of just unleash and just do their own thing and give these characters some character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Bender, what did you think about the story?
I agree. I thought it was way better than the vanilla game for sure. And man, I love Nathan Fillion. I've always loved him ever since Firefly, and he'll always be Captain Malcolm Reynolds to me. But I can totally hear that same attitude when he plays Cade 6 and that same humor behind his voice. And I was so thrilled to hear him play a bigger role in this one, because in the vanilla game, I mean, they didn't use him
at all.
Yeah. He would say a few things. He had 2 voiceovers for 2 of the strikes, and that was about it. I mean, he would say stuff when he walked up to him in the tower, like, "Hey, how you doing, Guardian?" Mm-hmm. He was so underutilized. So I was really happy to see them use him a lot more this time around. But everything from beginning to end in the story was just really cool. Some cool cutscenes, lots of much better story development.
Yeah. It's telling that I honestly had no idea Nathan Fillion was even in Destiny until the Taken King.
Really?
I didn't even realize he was Cade 6. I mean, just going back and listening to it, like, oh yeah, he did say.
It took me weeks to realize it was him. Like after when I was playing the game, I was just listening to that voiceover for one of the strikes, and I was like, "Sounds like Nathan Fillion." I was like, "Oh my goodness!" Yeah, because you can barely tell because he's not acting like himself in the vanilla game. He's just reading lines,
He literally had like one paragraph in the main game. That was it.
That was it.
They bring in this A-list Hollywood actor to read a paragraph. It's like, jeez, they could have saved foot in the bill on that one. Frankie, what do you think about the story, man?
With the other guys, the big thing about Destiny, at least when I first started playing it, I was really excited about the story because Peter Dinklage was initially attached to it. So just the vanilla game itself was just such a letdown in the story department that you know what I mean, like even going forward into the first 2 expansions, like it got a little bit better, but I was just blown away by the Taken King, just like the amount of production they put in actually like trying to have actual cutscenes and telling some kind of cohesive story. And I mean, not only that, but there's like a couple plot points that are still kind of hanging that I hope they do something with. Namely the ending, because I, like Brent, I'm kind of confused about where they plan on going with this. But there was one mission we played that the Cabal are mentioned. So, I mean, I hope that whatever they continue with this, they like this is what we're gonna get going forward. It's gonna be hard to like go back to doing what we were doing before. So, just whatever they do going forward, please stick to the storytelling method, please.
Yeah, what was that mission that you mentioned about the Cabal? Wasn't there like a communication out, like we're sending out a message to the Cabal King or whatever, and like that kind of left a little opening there too. It makes you wonder. There's a lot of different ways that they set up where they could go with the story, like in the next expansion if there is one.
Yeah, for sure. The cool thing about Destiny from the beginning through the Taken King is you can kind of see the storytelling evolve, like you alluded to, Frankie. The first Destiny, we've talked about this ad nauseum along with the rest of the internet at large, but the first Destiny was just a storytelling mess. It was incoherent. It was indiscernible. It was just a mess of a story to navigate through. With the Dark Below, we got a little bit closer to a more cohesive feeling, but it's still all over the place. House of Wolves really paved the way for the Taken King. It was a more structured story. It was a lot tighter, just kind of following Skolas and his journey to unite the fallen houses. That was a pretty cool story. And then the Taken King is kind of the culmination of the storytelling of Destiny up to this point. I mean, they like you mentioned, Brent. The beginning doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like, why is the Awoken Queen out there with all her forces, and Oryx can just put his sword in the stone and just blow everybody up at once? So it's like maybe you guys should have thought a little bit more before you came out here. by yourself. But
The even more confusing part of that is when you're introduced to the Awoken in Vanilla Destiny, like they're neutral.
Mhm.
So there's no reason for them to be out there like taking a stand against orcs because they don't take a stand, you know?
Mhm.
yeah, I'll be honest with you, Frankie. I never had a clue what the Queen or the Awoken or any of that stuff, how it factored into anything. So the fact that you said they were neutral and all that's like the news to me. So 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 apparently they're neutral, and then they took up arms and decided to take orcs head on by themselves, just so they can make this big bombastic cutscene at the beginning of the game, pretty much.
Ben's like, what's an Awoken?
Yeah, yeah, seriously. Like I've been trying to figure out what the Queen is, like her point, and how the Awoken fits into all this for months. But yeah, so I mean, there's still some wonky stuff in the Taken King, but like you guys said, it's just a more cohesive story. It's an easygoing tale of revenge. I mean, we killed Crota, which was Oric's son. He's on a mission for revenge. Straightforward plot. You can't mess that one up too much. And I think they did a nice job just kind of portraying that story. And like you guys mentioned, the writing in this one is far superior to the writing in the first Destiny. They actually brought on a new team of writers for the Taken King, and I think you can see that. Obviously, the characters, like you mentioned, Bender, have a lot more character. They're a lot more fun. They seem a lot more like actual people. Like there's actors giving performances in here, so I really like the writing. I want to point that out too. In the Taken King, there's some great lines in there. Nolan North has tons of great lines. Cade Six obviously chews up every scene that he's in. So just from a pure writing perspective, the game is far superior than when it first came out. What are you guys' thoughts on Nolan North as Ghost, Bender?
We talked about this before. At first I honestly did not like him,
Mhm.
and I think it was just because it was different. You know, I spent so much time playing this game and hearing Peter Dinklage over and over and over and over again saying the same lines.
Mhm.
Then I hear Nolan North saying some of those same lines, but he doesn't do it the same way. And at first it was just a culture shock kind of in a way. But I actually grew to like him. I kind of like him now. There's still a few lines I hear every once in a while that I'm like, I kind of like the way Dinklage said that one better. But for the most part, by and large, I like Nolan North a lot better. He's got some great lines in there. He delivers them very well, and I think he did a great job.
What's the one about the pants?
It's in the Saber Strike where you're in the Rasputin bunker, and he's like as a fellow inorganic life form, I have to say Rasputin has a much better setup than me. He's got a secret bunker with space weapons. I live in your backpack. I love that line, and it cracks me up every time.
Yeah, that's a good one. Felsin, what do you think about Nolan?
You know, at first I was with you guys. I was like, this just sounds terrible. Like I'm sitting here playing this, I'm just like, this sounds so annoying. I love Nolan North, but I'm just like, this is terrible. But over time, I think you guys mentioned, we mentioned in the podcast before, it's the same fate that Dinklage suffered, is good writer given bad lines to read. And I think some of the spots early on, some of Dinklage lines or Nolan North's lines were again just kind of like cringe-inducing. But the further we got into the story, like the spots that Bender's talking about, like he had some really good lines, and I think he delivered very well. And at the same time, you know, he didn't become an afterthought, but he wasn't as annoying as he was early on. He just kind of grew on me, and eventually it's just kind of like, oh yeah, it's Nolan North, and it is what it is.
Mm-hmm. Frankie, pretty much in the same boat.
I miss Peter Dinklage.
Aww.
I mean, I'm not like at that point anymore where I think Nolan North is just really annoying. Now I think he's hilarious to listen to now because he just doesn't sound right to me still. So I do like the newer lines that he's getting. Like I think the writing for him has gotten a lot better. But
he still had to read the old lines from the old writers, which were not the greatest.
Yeah.
So with the Taken King, we've got newer material that's much better for him to work with.
I'm also still sad that they didn't let him re-record That Wizard Came from the Moon, because that would have been kind of funny to hear.
That would have been funny.
The legendary line.
Yeah.
Myself personally, I really like Nolan's portrayal of Ghost. I really enjoy it. Like I forgot which one of you said it, but kind of this like C3PO-esque take on the character, I think is really cool. So yeah, I'm really enjoying Nolan as Ghost personally.
Could that be a DLC add-on opportunity? Deliver the Peter Dinklage voice pack for $5.99.
Hey, part of this new microtransaction world that we live in.
Tess will have that for sale next week. 3,000 silver.
I'll take
A couple more things I wanna hit on in terms of story here with you guys. I want to talk about the actual Dreadnought itself as an environment. It's pretty sprawling. It's a really cool area. Brent, what do you think about the Dreadnought as an environment, as a gameplay setting for the Taken King?
I really liked it. I liked it because there was a lot of mystery behind it. After playing as much as we'd had, I'm pretty confident that we found most of the secret spots. We found a lot of paths using the ghost to kind of highlight the bridges that were kind of invisible. But I really liked just the mysteriousness of it. Going around. I love the Court of Oryx. There's probably still a lot of things that we don't know. I don't know how much more they could have hidden in there. I mean, for the first, I think the first 3 hours when the Dreadnought was open, I seriously just scoured every corner of that place. I was just walking around trying to find every secret path that I could find, and it was really, really fun. And it's easily my favorite area other than Venus.
Gotcha. They've kind of taken some of the puzzle-solving raid elements from other aspects of the game and incorporated it into the environment of the Dreadnought, which is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Frankie, what do you think about the Dreadnought, man?
I don't know if I like it that much. I mean, it's cool, the whole the first couple days running through there, but I don't feel like it's as big as it seems it is. Because you can't ride your speeder around in there, so.
Mm-hmm.
You have to run everywhere, so it seems a lot bigger than it is. But I feel like there's a lot of areas that aren't really used. I don't know why, but I feel like I come into all these areas and it's just there for a giant battle between the Cabal and the Hive, which I don't know. But I do like the fact that there are all these secret areas. That's been really cool. Even that last one we figured out where there's this room you sit in for a minute and then you get a cent to go and open a chest. That's cool. There's just the ridiculous amount of things hidden around there, and just trying to figure out how to get keys for certain chests.
Mm-hmm.
Just the area itself, I just feel it's just not as exciting as I thought it would be. I don't know.
Bender, are you with Frankie on this, or are you more with Brent? You kind of enjoying the Dreadnought?
I kind of like it. I think I like how there's a lot of secrets to discover, and I'm sure there's still more secrets to be found in the Dreadnought. I do agree with Frankie in the fact that it'd be nice if we could ride our sparrows around in there if there was a more open area for us to do that. But I mean, it is what it is. But I think it's pretty cool for the most part. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you guys. I like the Dreadnought as well. It's a unique area. Like we mentioned, the secrets and some of the different things they've put into the environment, I think make it a unique area in terms of Destiny as a whole. Fellas, next thing I want to talk about is the strikes. They're kind of a big part of the Taken King. A lot of the weekly activities revolve around the strikes. There's quite a few new ones in this expansion, and they've remixed several of the old ones. Frankie, I'm gonna start with you on this. What are your thoughts on the new strikes and how they've remixed some of the old ones with Taken, and actually some of the old ones kind of rotate. You get different experiences almost every time you do them, which is cool. It keeps those ones fresh. But what do you think about the strikes in the Taken King?
As far as the remix ones go, I love them. The Undying Mind was one of my favorite strikes before, so having it come into the rotation a little more frequently now, even when it does, you don't know, am I going to be fighting an endless wave of Praetorians? Is this going to be all Taken? I love just that whole strike in general.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That one, and is it Taurus Traugdor? Is that what I keep calling him?
Traugdor!
Alistair Auric.
Yeah. Yeah, but that one, we were all preparing to fight him in the tank, and it was just a giant field of the Taken blights and Taken. So I love the remix one so far. Every variation I've played have been either much more enjoyable than the original strike, or just that much better. So
yeah, I mean I've probably played 3 or 4 different variations on the Dust Palace. That one seems to change all the time.
Yeah. So as far as the new ones go. I'm not too crazy about a lot of them. I really, really do love the dark. What the hell's the dark one
Dark
called?
Blade.
Dark Blade.
Dark Blade, yeah, the Sunless Cell. I love doing that strike, but I can't stand doing the saber one. I think Echo Chamber is cool up until you get to the very end of it, because it just feels too drawn out to me. And then the Shield Brothers one's all right, just all right.
Gotcha.
Am I missing any?
I don't know. I think that's all of them.
Yeah, that was all of them.
Bender, what are your thoughts on the strikes?
I love the remix ones as well. As Frank was saying, you never know what you're going to encounter, and I noticed that sometimes even the dialogue in some parts will be different, so that's pretty cool. And in the new strikes as well, sometimes the dialogue will be different. I love the Dark Blade strike, and I love the Shield Brothers strike. Those were probably my favorite of the new ones. I don't mind the Fallen Saber. I know Frankie hates it, but I don't mind it too much. It's all right. The Echo Chamber, I didn't like at first. I may have to try it a couple more times, but I felt like it was too tedious to carry those orbs from one place to another, and then the boss fight was very long. Took forever to take down the boss. So I might have to try that one a couple more times and see if I grow to like it. But overall, yeah, I like this new strikes a lot. I think it's really cool what they've done.
Yeah. Personally, I like a lot of the stuff they've done with the new strikes because they've tried to imbue some other gameplay elements to it. It's not just move from point A to point B and shoot things, move into the next room, shoot more things. There's some light puzzle solving. There's some things you have to figure out to get from point A to point B, which I like. And that's one of the things I actually like about the Echo Chamber. I don't mind that boss fight either. I think that boss fight's kind of cool. If you're in there with a squad of people that knows what they're doing, or you're in there with the fire team of your friends, it's pretty fun to go through that one because you guys know what you're doing. It's easier to coordinate that one. It's not like a long drawn out fight. But I don't know, Felsi, what do you think about that? What do you think about the way they've kind of incorporated some more elaborate elements into these strikes?
No, yeah, I actually, I really enjoyed the Echo Chamber one, just because making your way through it, and it took us a second. I can't remember who the two people were I was playing with the first time I did it, but
it was me and you, and I think we were just with a random guy.
Yeah, and it took us a little bit to figure out what to do, but once we had the system down, I thought it was actually pretty entertaining and really rewarding to get through it. Once we had the system down, one guy carry it, making all of us invisible, so we got across without getting shot too much, place it down. I mean, it is very tedious, it is very repetitive, but it didn't seem any dissimilar from the Undying Mind, because when you get to that last spot, you're constantly moving back and forth from one side, following him back and forth. So that one seems tedious to me, but again, that one's really, really fun to me as well. So I actually like the Echo Chamber. I like the way that was set up. I'm with you guys. The Fallen Saber, I don't like it at the beginning, especially on a Nightfall. If it's got a nasty burn, when you have to do the whatever that thing is it a war set? Yes. Yeah. Oh my, that thing is a headache. Once you get through it, once you get past it, I actually think that's a pretty fun strike. I think the Fallen Saber is a fun battle, especially you got to stay in those two areas. You've got the sniper turrets, or the sniper shanks you got to worry about. I actually like that battle at the end, but at the beginning, my God, especially on Nightfall, if you've got any kind of burn damage and the enemies are using that, it's a damn headache. How long do you have to hold that for a minute, or is it 2 minutes? It seems like an hour.
However long it takes to count
it's however long it feels like counting down for.
It seems like it took forever, but no, yeah, and the Dark Blade, I really like that one, and what was the fourth one? Shield Bros. I didn't like it first, but after a while, I kind of like that just because you can use 3 of coins on both of those guys at the end.
I do like the one thing I do like about all the new strikes is I feel like each of them is kind of tailored to the strengths of like the new subclasses. So like you're talking about the Echo Chamber, like having a hunter in there who can make everyone invisible to run back and forth. That's huge. You got I think for Shield Brothers and for the Dark Blade, like Stormcaller is awesome. And even the Hammer of Soul, just like watching people chuck hammers in the dark is awesome. So Yeah, that's one of the things I meant to mention before. Is I think like those new subclasses really get to shine in the new strikes.
Oh, you're right. Now that I think about that makes a lot of sense. You know, those subclasses really. It seems like they're geared toward them to really, utilize them and see them, how useful they can be. Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Yeah, the hammers, also Stormcaller is pretty cool in the dark too. If you just light that up and just
Yeah, it is.
start unleashing that. If it's chaining through all the thralls, or you're like actually just barreling into Darkblade himself, it's a pretty cool sight for sure. And they've kind of did this kind of stuff in the story missions as well. I know we didn't mention this, but they really expanded on the mission variety in the actual story missions themselves. There's stealth missions. There's different things you do in there. It's not just put Ghost into this terminal and then fight the waves of enemies that come through. It's a lot more varied in terms of the variety in the gameplay. So that's a theme kind of across the Taken King as a whole, which I like.
Yeah.
Then then there's the raid, fellas. So what do we think about the raid? We'll know when we actually start to make some progress. So we've tried to play this thing a few times. We've only got to the War Priest so far, so we're still at the beginning of this thing. I think we're all in agreement though. It's really fun up to that point. There's a lot of teamwork that goes into it. One of these days we'll eventually progress further. But yeah, to those of you that have gone through the raid, it's pretty fun. But I want to talk to you guys about the end game structure now. The end game's a little bit different with Destiny. With the Taken King, they've changed the Nightfall. They've changed the weekly stuff. The heroic strikes are now the weekly Vanguard heroic strikes. They have the daily story missions, which all these secret missions are popping up inside of these story missions. They've got the daily Crucible challenges, which are guaranteed mark rewards. So they've got some cool stuff going on with the end game. Bender, I'll start with you on this one. Thoughts on the end game in the Taken King?
I think it's pretty good. I wish they didn't reduce the how many times you can get legendary marks from those weekly heroic strikes, because that was that was always something you could go back to and grind out if you needed some extra marks. So now you can only do it, I think, 3 times in a week to get marks from. But then again, you do have marks from the daily heroic, and if you want to go into the Crucible stuff, you can do all that. So that's good. One of the issues I have is with the Nightfall. From what I can tell, I've only done the Nightfall a couple of times since the Taken King launched, but from what I can tell and from what I've heard from others is that the rewards are no longer really worth it.
They fixed that today.
They fixed that today? What did they do?
Yeah, it was in the hotfix patch today.
Yeah, they're pretty much raid tier rewards now.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good.
Like they actually sound like they're worth doing now.
All right. I guess we'll need to get back into the Nightfall then and
No.
check it out.
Mm-mm.
No.
Nice try. Not
It was a common complaint amongst Destiny players that the Nightfall rewards just weren't where they needed to be. So Bungie's been looking into that. I think they're still probably tweaking everything with the Nightfall. I guess it remains to be seen whether this new algorithm or formula that they have set up for Nightfall is where it needs to be. I guess we'll just have to play it and find out.
But yeah, other than that, I think it's all pretty good. I mean, it's nice to have stuff to do every day to get those marks and to have a chance at, exotics, and you've got your 3 of coins. If you pop the 3 of coins, you have a higher chance of legendaries and exotics, which is cool. So, and as far as like the secret exotic quests and stuff that have unlocked, like the Black Spindle and stuff like that. One thing I was going to comment on earlier is I really like the way many of the exotics are now tied to quests. And now you no longer have to wait or worry about RNG or, am I ever going to get this drop? Like, we all know how difficult it was to find Galahorn in year 1.
Yeah.
But I really like that now those feel more attainable. Now you have actually defined goals that you can achieve to work towards to get those exotics. I think that was a really good change.
Yeah. No, definitely. And Bungie's come out and said that only certain exotics are tied to the drops or tied to Xur. So, like you mentioned, many of these are only going to be obtainable through these quests, and some of them are extremely elaborate. Like, look up a Touch of Malice. and count how many weeks it's going to take you to get that. So yeah, so they've got some elaborate quests here. I'm with you though. It's one of the things that they kind of built on the exotic bounties that they had in vanilla Destiny. They kind of took that idea to the next level, and I think people are really enjoying that. I think the hidden story quests are really cool, especially that one. Even though we haven't defeated it yet, but that Black Spindle one's awesome. I mean, one of these days we're gonna go in there strong enough and defeat it. But that one's really challenging, really hard. It's a lot of fun though to go through that one. Frankie, what do you think about the new endgame and the Taken King?
I'm kind of enjoying it. I'm kind of not. I like the night. Like I don't mind doing the nightfalls, but the one thing I really miss is, at least with the Android app before, like it would show you the nightfall and all of the modifiers. Now I think the nightfall is a playlist, but the first one that everybody does it like for the week is the same. So like I still have to like go and seek out someone on Twitter who posts like, all right, here's the modifiers, here's the strike. So I mean, I wish they would put that back in the app at least. It's just a minor complaint, but the one thing that really sucks for me is, like, I really enjoyed doing the Prison of Elders. I loved going back and doing the Vault of Glass, Crota, doing those weekly, and now they're just kind of there. Like, there's until today, I know like one of the parts of the quest to get that No Time to Explain is you have to do the Vault of Glass, but that old content's just kind of there. It doesn't really have a purpose anymore, and it's like, I mean, I know I've been playing it for the past year, but a lot of that stuff was still a lot of fun, you know. Which it is also kind of another problem I have with the quest system and the loot drops as they are now. Just like I don't want to play in the Crucible to get this gun. I was totally content before, just, oh, I don't care if I have to play this raid 40 times. I'm sure at some point this is going to drop. So, I mean, it's just like a minor complaint because, you know, at least I know there's a way to get it now, which before it was always up in the air. But outside of that, like you guys were saying, like all the new hidden stuff that's coming out of all these missions is cool, and even them just when we got the Sleeper Simulant bounty, like even them just taking like missions you've already done and just like, okay, well here was this section of this mission, get up here in this time limit and face this new arrangement of enemies. So like the fact that they're taking the stuff that they're introducing now anyways and just completely doing something different with it, I think is cool because we didn't really see that before. Outside of that, like I don't mind doing the daily Crucible thing. Surprisingly, I thought I would, but you know, like Rift is actually kind of cool. Like I don't. The first couple times you play it, like I didn't understand what was going on. So, but you know, after playing it 4 or 5 times, I finally am like, all right, cool. So this is kind of like a basketball type thing. That's awesome.
I think that's one of the cool things about the daily Crucible thing is they rotate the different game types through there. So it kind of compels you to maybe try out something you haven't tried out before from the Crucible, just because you're going to get the free marks whether you win or lose.
Yeah.
So you go through a match, and some of those ones you find out you really enjoy. Like when Mayhem was on there, and I went through Mayhem for the first time, I was like, holy crap, this is actually awesome.
Oh my god. Dude, Mayhem is incredibly awesome.
Yeah, like Mayhem as a Stormcaller is just like, it's a kid in a candy store. You just unleash that arc lightning and just roll through the level and just torch everybody in your path. It's pretty awesome.
The other cool thing I like is I feel like there's a more variety to like the Crucible bounties themselves. Like they feel like they're a lot more accessible.
Yeah.
Like they're just incredibly basic things like get an ammo crate in a Rumble match. That's basically free XP and Crucible rep. So okay, you know. Yeah. So I feel like at least they're being a little easier on those for those people who like to grab those. And the other thing too is we got our first Iron Banner last week, and now there's all kinds of new Iron Banner bounties, and on top of like having different rotating daily bounties, like there's like this set of weekly, like a week's worth of bounties for the Iron Banner, and it like nuts you can easily rack up like 75 legendary marks and like probably like 2 or 3 ranks in Iron Banner rep alone, just if you finish those 3 things. So
yeah, I like too in the Iron Banner they've tried to make the drop system in there be the primary source of items for the Iron Banner.
Yeah.
So it's not about getting to rank 5 in a week and trying to have enough glimmer or whatever to purchase the stuff that you want. You can actually play through there and try and get some of that stuff as a drop, which is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Fallacy, where do you stand on the end game with the Taken King? Do you miss the old stuff like Frankie? Are you enjoying the new stuff? Where's your take?
The highlights for me are definitely the daily stories, how they have those, like, the hidden missions with it. I remember when we first heard about that, it was like a day or two after we had just done that mission. And I remember we recorded it, and I was just like, people were talking about this door being open. I'm like, no, the door's always open. And I go back and I watch the video. I'm like, man, that thing is shut. And now it's open in this daily? That's awesome. So, you go wandering in there, and it's just it's an epic battle in there. And I think that's really cool how they do that. It keeps things fresh. And, for me, before the Taken King, I usually just spent most of my time doing, nightfalls, strikes, the occasional raid when we did that. I never really spent too much time with the daily story. I mean, if I did, it was you just brush through it. It's something you've done over and over and over. But now that you've got these new elements fixed in there, it kind of keeps those fresh. And, I'm with Frankie. I'm not a Crucible fan. I'm absolutely abysmal at it. But the fact that you can actually go into a daily Crucible thing and just, it doesn't matter if you win or lose, you're going to get marks. Mm-hmm. That's cool. Mm-hmm. And if it is a day where it's Mayhem or if it's the Rift, those are the two modes that I like the most because those are the most fun. It's just, Mayhem is insane, like you guys said. I love Mayhem. But like then, so you've got that. But my concern is going to be when you guys start getting through the raid and you finally beat the raid. That's when you're going to wish you had the other raids. You're going to kind of wish that they had more content to them because right now everyone's focused on the raid and they're going to be focused on the hard version of that raid right now. But once people start beating this raid consistently, you're going to want to, are you just going to keep doing that raid over and over again? Then that repetitiveness might kick in where, it would be nice if you could go back and do the Prison of Elders. Yeah, you can't get Etheric Light, but there's got to be something else they can put in the Prison of Elders to make it, worth doing because that is really, really fun. The Prison of Elders is really fun. It's challenging, and it's something else to do.
I really miss the prison, man. I love horde modes.
There's literally no reason. Yeah, there's literally no reason to go do the Prison of Elders. And then the Vault of Glass was a sweet raid. I thought Crota was good, but I thought the Vault of Glass was better than Crota. Yes. But I mean, those are raids where I hope that they're going to add something to it because after a while, man, going through the King's Fall raid is going to get repetitive, and there's not going to be anything else to fall back on. Mm-hmm. So that's my concern with that. Even though I think this raid is awesome, I absolutely love it. There's a lot more teamwork in this one than the other two combined. I think I love the design of it. I love the jumping sections. Even the battle against the War Priest. So even though we didn't get him, we almost had him that last time. We had him real close, and it's just I think this raid is really, really fun. I love the atmosphere. I love the areas that you go to. The totem section's really tough. It took us a while to figure out, but the teamwork that's required in all these in this raid is just awesome.
Let me ask you guys this then. I know a lot of the fans have been talking about this, like what's to become of the Prison of Elders and the Vault of Glass and Crota's End and that kind of stuff. I mean, is this something that we could see them do something with in the future?
I can imagine that they could add some new rewards to these raids that we have here and the Prison of Elders. I mean, if they don't, I mean, it's going to completely make them obsolete. I mean, right now they're obsolete because there's no reason to do them because you only get rewards from year one, which we can't use anymore, really.
Yeah.
So I really hope that they do. I really hope that they do go back and kind of revamp those a little bit. Change up what rewards you get and make them a little more relevant so people have options as to what raids to do and can go back and experience those.
I guess I have a question. I mean, is there right now, of all the exotic weapons that have been added into year 2, are all of them like? Does everyone know the quests or which raids you have to do or which missions or strikes you have to do to get all these? I mean, are there some weapons that are still unaccounted for? I wonder if there's like some exotics. What they could do is they could go back to these old raids, bump them up to very hard, add whatever they need to make it tougher, and then just make a certain exotic. This one's waiting for you on super hard Vault of Glass, or this exotic's waiting for you on super hard Crota, just to make them relevant again, to go in there and hammer out. I don't know if all the exotics are accounted for, or if there's some that they could move and shift over to that, just to kind of keep them relevant.
Personally, I'd rather see what they've been doing now, like, oh, there's this random area that was in the Vault of Glass that we had no idea was there.
Yeah.
Like, you could put something in the Gorgon Maze, like you could, like one of those side caves, like you can add something to that. Nobody would ever know, you know. But I don't know if it would make sense to them to go back and just make them more difficult. You know, I mean, unless you're talking kind of like doing something similar to Black Spindle, where you like. You like put it in a new section, like, okay, well, you did this, so here's this enemy that you killed in this amount of time. You have this X amount of minutes to get through this part of the raid to do this.
I had a couple thoughts. Like, what if they did something with those raids, kind of like they did with the strikes? They like remixed them with the Taken, or added in like the Taken threat into like Crota or the Vault of Glass, like you said, bumped everybody up to like level 42. And just put a little bit of a twist on the raid and did something like that, or is maybe like the halfway or the meeting point in between all this? Is it just tying these raids into quests, kind of like like you mentioned, Frankie, with this new exotic part of it is doing the Vault of Glass? Like, is that sufficient enough? Because every now and then they add a new quest to the system, and part of it involves you having to tackle Crota or Vault of Glass. I mean, are these viable options? Are these going to satisfy the fans, or do we want to get back to the point where we can always run these things and have some type of a reward that's going to drop?
I think the only real cool thing about that is I know a lot of people that I talk to, like, they don't have, like us, like, they don't have a raid group active that's, you know, oh, well, so-and-so wants to raid, okay, well, we have 12 people in our clan, so... you know, I know a lot of people who don't have that luxury, so like just finding people for a raid is a challenge for a lot of people. So I think that, you know, I think a lot of the people I know on Twitter who are all like Destiny fans, like, it's a very welcoming community. So I think like kind of pushing people towards needing to seek out people to do these raids with them is a good thing. Because, you know, there's a lot of cool people out there to play Destiny with, you know, like the Short Paws Guardians.
But, heard of those guys.
Shameless plug.
They're kind of cool.
So I like them just finding some way to keep them relevant, even if it's just like that, like just kind of pushing people to want to find people to experience them with. So that's what they're there for.
Boy, and honestly, man, even more so than the raid, I feel like I may want them to do something with the Prison of Elders, just because there's nothing else like that in the game. Like you said, it takes a fire team of 3. It's much easier to organize on a weekly basis to just jump into the prison and have some fun with that. But I love those horde modes. Hopefully they can do something with the prison at some point.
Yeah, I still, even after everything we've done in the Taken King, I still think like beating Skolas has been like the ultimate Destiny high for me.
Yeah, that was a sweet moment for me as well. Finally beating that bastard.
God, that's so tough.
So Bungie, if you're listening, do something with the Prison of Elders, please.
Please.
Give us some reason to jump back in there.
Actually, that's what I wanted to mention. So back when they were unveiling the House of Wolves, you know, just looking at the director for the Reef, there's still like 2 sections next to the Reef that look like they could be filled in with new events. So do you guys think that there's still stuff like they're building to go along with the Reef that's going to tie into the Taken King?
It's a good question.
Yeah, because I mean, even like walking around when they were doing the tour of the Reef initially, like they're showing all these like rooms that are locked off that are like the Iron Banner. Like you have like this area that's there for a special event. Like obviously one of those rooms Xur occupies every so often, but there's still like 2 or 3 rooms in the Reef that we don't know why they're there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's definitely a possibility. I mean, I guess the answer is we just have no idea. Bungie's got a 10-year plan for this game. They have tons of stuff they're going to be adding to this game over the weeks, months, and years ahead. So anything's possible. I would assume they probably have plans for almost everything that's in this game to expand it at some point. So I would definitely say the Reef is probably going to get some more love at some point in the future. When? I don't know. Who knows? One of the last few things I want to ask you guys about here is the actual loot in the game. Just kind of talk about What you guys think of the new armor, new weapons? Stuff you like about it, stuff you don't like. What are your favorite guns and stuff that you've picked up so far? Falcon, where do you stand on the loot in the game?
I like the loot. Like I said, at first when we started playing it, we got a ton of new loot like right away. I mean, do you guys remember the rate of drops? I mean, we are constantly. I think we ran like 3 missions, and we were like, man, I am completely full. I have to go to the Cryptarch and decrypt all this stuff. We had so much gear, but no, I mean, I like the weapons. I mean, I've always been an AR guy, so I like the Suros regime, the new one. The one sniper rifle I got from doing the Gunsmith's quest, the Still Piercer. I really, really, really like that sniper rifle. That's come in clutch on a couple of missions.
What does that one do?
It like if you hit a bunch of like precision shots, your ammo reloads.
Oh, nice.
White nail.
Yeah, it's called Perfectionist.
Yeah, I have that on Hereafter.
Yeah, it's called Magazine is refunded if all shots fired are precision kills. And it just does some good damage. And like I say, it's been nice. Like when we were in the
kills.
Yeah, they have to be precision kills.
Okay, so if you're just like firing on a boss, it won't reload then.
Right, yeah. But if you're aiming like towards like a bunch of other little smaller enemies, yeah, that's worth it. And I got a 4th horseman. I never had that the first time out, and
must be nice.
Using that for the first time has been pretty nice. But no, and I think my favorite, obviously, of all the weapons, I'm sure some of you will agree, is the sword. The sword is just so much fun. I mean, we played the one mission. The Crota mission, or what mission was it on the moon, where we first got introduced to the sword in the third-person perspective. We played through it, and we were like, man, yeah, we were just like, I wish we could do this. And, here we go. Wishes are granted, and, the sword is easily my favorite part.
Yeah, sword is just totally badass. Bender, what about you? What are some of your favorite pickups that you've gotten so far?
I definitely agree with the sword thing. I mean, those are so much fun. The swords are awesome. The scout rifle called the Tlaloc, I think that's what it's called. It's a scout rifle that only warlocks can get from the gunsmith when they hit rank 3 with reputation with the gunsmith. There's a quest line that you fulfill to get it from him, and it's a pretty good gun. It's when your super is charged, it like increases your reload speed, your fire rate, your handling, like how quick you ready your weapon. All that stuff gets increased quite a bit. So especially if you're a Sunsinger Warlock and you're running around with your supercharge most of the time, that's the perfect gun to have. So it's super awesome. It's very beastly once your super is charged. Even when it's not, it's still a pretty good gun even when the super is not charged. Very low recoil as well.
I'm gonna go ahead and throw out there that's probably like the new Vision.
Yeah. If it only had auto fire, it would be perfect. But it's still pretty awesome. Fire rate is very fast.
Does it have elemental damage at all?
No, just regular
Gotcha.
gun. But
Kinetic,
kinetic damage. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And we did get some. I don't know if you guys did, but I got the sleeper simulant. Did you guys finish that quest?
I was there.
Well, I know you were there.
Frankie has it. I personally don't have it.
I did not have it either.
Yeah.
Okay, I knew Frankie had it, but I just wanted to check to see if you guys had gotten it. But the sleeper simulant is pretty cool. I know.
I want that gun. Just watching you guys fire it, I'm like, yeah, I need that in my life.
Yeah. I mean, it's a fusion rifle, a heavy fusion rifle, so you do have to make sure you're keeping track of where your target is, and you have to line up your shot and everything. You can one-shot a hive wizard with those things because they have those solar shields. Oh my goodness, they just get wrecked. It's awesome. Yeah, so the sleeper simulant is really cool. As far as armor, I mean, I have the Light Beyond Nemesis helmet, which is a year 1, but I've got the year 2 version, so that's what I've been rolling with. And yeah, those are the best things I've gotten so far.
Gotcha. Frankie, what are you digging so far?
Nothing. I've yet to find. Like, I know of all these
All right,
sweet guns.
thanks.
Like, I'm not
Happy
done.
Sammy.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Like-
Debbie Downer.
Like everyone has a Telesto or a Xalo Supercell. I have an answering cord. Like, it's seriously my best gun right now for primary. And I don't even like auto rifles, so.
Well, you have the how do you say
Yeah, I do also have that
Tlaloc?
Tlaloc. Yeah, I do also have that, but I always have something else exotic equipped. Actually, you know what? Truthfully, I picked up that Hereafter from Xur. It's a sniper rifle, so I'm not a sniper rifle fan, but this thing actually is like, it sounds really cool when you shoot it. Like Brent mentioned, it has that perfectionist perk on it, which I think is that basically white nail. I never had a
Sounds like it. Yeah.
black hammer, so I don't know a lot about that, but it also blinds enemies. Like if you get a precision shot on them, it has a chance to blind enemies, and that looks cool when it happens. So, I do agree with you guys. Swords, like there's just nothing more badass right now than running around with a sword. The exotic ones look really awesome. Like I'm not there yet, but we helped Moody get his, and it's incredibly awesome.
I want an exotic sword so bad.
Yeah, yeah. I'm waiting on you because I think you're still at the Crucible part. So once you're where I'm at,
I finished that part.
so you need to kill
So
that.
now I'm killed the dude. And now I'm on the collect the materials. from
materials.
things.
Oh,
Minus spin metal because I have the arc sword, so I have to
Oh,
go harvest a whole bunch of spin metal on Earth.
I still have to kill the dude. Damn it.
I'll help you with that.
Why you gotta kill me?
Ah,
Just a couple things I want to point out. Frankie mentioned it, but the Telesto, the fusion rifle that fires out like the sticky void bombs that stick to enemies and then explode for additional damage, is an awesome gun. My favorite fusion rifle in the game. Just a totally badass gun.
Yeah, it looks
But
badass.
yeah,
I want that.
yeah, but it sounds awesome when it fires. It's really useful in both PvP and PvE actually.
Yeah,
So I really like that gun. I want to get that Tlaloc thing. I'm still trying to get a damn fusion rifle to drop so I can dismantle it. But have a chance to continue on with that quest.
Oh, that's actually a cool gun too. The Sasanu or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's a good fusion rifle. That one, one of its perks, like it'll switch its damage type based on your subclass.
Oh yeah. I saw you have that.
Yeah, so that comes in handy.
So you guys have already talked about the swords. Those are totally badass. The other thing I really like is there's a gauntlet called the Impossible Machines, which is almost a must wear if you're a Stormcaller, because it grants landfall and it allows you to choose another perk in that tree there. And I think the other one that's in that tree is the Chain Lightning.
Yep.
So if you have landfall and Chain Lightning on, Stormcaller just becomes even more badass.
Yeah, I do
Love
that. That's a brutal Crucible one there.
Yeah.
You hop
Yeah.
over a control point and just activate your super. If there's 3 guys there, they're dead before you even hit the ground.
Yeah. Yeah, we were Brent, what were we playing? I think we were playing the Undying Mind or something. I just leapt over a group of enemies and just unleashed my super and just came down like Dragon Ball Z style and just eliminated like 12 guys at once. It was
Like you
awesome.
were just floating there, and they just kept walking out of that portal, and you were just lighting them all up. And I was just basically sitting on the ground, just watching orbs. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll just chill here, man. No, that was awesome.
Yeah. But I like that they're doing that kind of stuff with the exotics. They're getting some cool perks and some different things than what we've seen that really allow you to customize your character even more than you could with the original Destiny. Like you can really make your guy the way you want to make him. If you're a Stormcaller, there's things you can wear that's gonna benefit you as a Stormcaller. If you're a Sunsinger, you've got gear that's geared towards that. You know, they've got things that resist solar burns for the different burns that you encounter throughout the weekly stuff. So I like what they're doing with the armor from that perspective. So
Has anyone gotten that Titan helmet that makes every single rocket launcher have tracking?
no.
Oh man,
That one, man.
dude, that thing looks so sweet.
yeah, like something like that. Like that's a cool perk. That's a really inventive perk to have on a piece of armor.
Yeah.
I like that they're doing really cool stuff like that. But yeah, if you're a Stormcaller, you have to have the Impossible Machines. Really awesome pair of gauntlets.
Mm-hmm.
Let's bring this thing full circle now, fellas. I mean, overall thoughts on Destiny: The Taken King. Falcon, why don't you start us off here?
I think Bungie did good. I think they put this game on track to a brighter future. There was a lot of stuff we didn't like about the first year of it, but they answered a lot of questions, a lot of concerns. There's the loot drop seems to be better. I love the addition of the 3 of coins. The story is much better. The quests are more engaging. There's going to be new quests coming out all the time. I just think they've done a great job creating an identity for this game, where beforehand it didn't have an identity. It was just kind of generic in some ways, but now it just seems to have more of a personality. It's got better design, better variety. You're never 100% sure what to expect when you go into a mission, or if you go into a raid, or if you do a strike. Before that, you always knew what you were going to get, what you were going to run into. Now you've got that unpredictability, and like I said, they're just constantly going to add new quests and such. And so I think Destiny is headed in the right direction. I think Bungie has an idea now of what gamers want, what fans of the series wants, and I think this sets up Destiny 2 to build on a stronger foundation created by the Taken King.
Yeah, Bender. One of the things I like that Bungie does is they listen to their fans. I mean, they take a lot of the feedback. They take their game very seriously. They take all the stuff that people are saying to heart, and they really try to make this a better game day after day, week after week at their headquarters. Hands down, the Taken King, Destiny's a better experience now than it was a year ago, right?
Yes, absolutely. They have definitely been listening to the fans. They've addressed so many of the issues that people had with the vanilla game. I mean, from the storytelling to the progression system to the way you find exotics and some of the other weapons and armor, to the quest system, all that stuff. I mean, the vanilla game, as we know, got like 6s and 7s in reviews, and now the Taken King is getting 8s and 9s, and probably some 10s. They vastly improved the way this game has been received, and just vastly improved the game in general over the past year. They've definitely been listening to fans.
It's much easier for a new player to get into Destiny too, right? I mean, it's easier to recommend this to somebody, to explain it to somebody, like how this game works. It's actually somewhat manageable to explain to somebody, and with that spark of light that they give you, it's easy for somebody to jump in and join their friends in the Taken King content. So I like that aspect of it as well. Frankie, what say you overall, the Taken King?
I think a lot of it was a step in the right direction. I like the general idea of the quest system. I do think that I want to see them kind of gravitate more towards what they were saying before, where they want you to play Destiny how you want to play Destiny. So I kind of want to see them go that way with everything. Like, don't make me play the Crucible to get a sweet new gun. I mean, I understand, you want to challenge people, but I enjoy getting those random strikes where they have like an additional like level of challenge. Then like, oh, you have to kill this guy, and then you have 30 seconds to kill this guy. I like that kind of stuff. So personally, like there's also like a lot of the quests feel like they just have all these just really terrible grindy sections, like what Bender mentioned. He's got to gather all these things like from spin metal.
Yeah, I'm in that same thing right now, and they rarely like drop when you.
Yeah.
Are you guys talking about for the sword quest?
Yeah.
Yeah, where you have to collect I think it's like 30 of that whatever you have to get, and then you get one of the relic iron that you need. It's ruthless.
Yep, and it's not even just that. Like the one I have now, I have to wait for Arms Day. We were doing Sleeper Simulant, and you had to wait for War Sats. Like, I just feel like a lot of the new quests, there's just a lot of these just really dull periods. Like, I've actually fallen asleep playing some of the newer stuff just because it's a lot of just grinding and waiting. So I'd like to see them kind of do away with that and kind of streamline them more to like engaging players and having them play the content that they actually want to be playing, rather than waiting around or trying to kill people in the Crucible with a gun that you don't necessarily use ever. Outside of that, though, like as we mentioned, the storytelling is just phenomenal, and I would love to see them continue that going forward. For the most part, all of the new content we've played has been a lot of fun. even just like revisiting all these old areas, like you got more missions sending you in all these weird places that you've been to, but it's this new like little add-on that they built in here that wasn't there before, and I love when they do stuff like that. So overall, I think they're definitely heading in the right direction, but they still have some work to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we talked about, Destiny is a 10-year plan, so Bungie's going to keep iterating on this. But the Taken King, I think we can all agree, is much closer to where they want Destiny to eventually be, and they're just going to keep working on it from here. They've made some great strides. They've addressed damn near everything that anybody's had to say about vanilla Destiny with the Taken King, and obviously they still have some tweaking to do, but they're working towards the end game with this, and I like where they're headed. One last thing I want to ask you guys is about the future of Destiny and where we go from here. One of the things that came out recently, and we all know the Eververse trading company hit the scene recently in Destiny and introduced microtransactions to the game. These microtransactions don't directly affect the gameplay right now. They just sell dance moves and emotes. Hopefully that's how it stays. There will be no gameplay altering things from these microtransactions. But we've since learned that these are going to fuel year 2 of Destiny. So no longer will we see the Dark Below, the House of Wolves. We won't have these big expansion packs that come out, every few months as we build towards Destiny 2. Now we're going to get kind of this slow trickle of stuff over the weeks and months leading up to Destiny 2. And it remains to be seen whether what we're seeing with some of these, like the Sleeper Simulant quest, with the new quest that came out of the story mission today, whether this is the kind of stuff that we're going to see in terms of new content, or if there'll be a more substantial drop at some point. But where do you guys stand on the way Destiny is shaping up to expand, not only with year 2, but maybe even into the future here, with microtransactions kind of fueling this slow drip of content to keep us playing throughout the year? Frankie, we'll start with you on this.
I personally don't mind the microtransaction stuff at all. So, if they're going to expand that into, shaders, new ships, stuff like that, just this cosmetic stuff that, all the cool kids are going to have, that's fine with me. But if we're going to be slow dripping content, the thing that I'm really hoping that they do is, like, Brent and I mentioned before, they have like this weird mission that kind of signifies, okay, well, there's going to be some kind of big happening with the Cabal. Like, when they do finally, like, here's this big new quest line, like, I want it to be like the continuation of that, like, just this ridiculous build up to this like super awesome new mission that they added. I mean, I think they can get away with kind of doing that, like, throughout the year. Like, you get these random, like, here's this new quest line where you're gonna you learn more about the world, more about the enemies you're facing, and at the end you fight this super badass boss. Maybe get some cool new stuff. Who knows? But all I know is that I have no idea what Destiny 2 is going to bring us, and I'm actually kind of excited about that. So,
yeah, Felsin, what do you think about this slow drip? I mean, is this something that's gonna just not be as appealing over time? Like, there's not a lot of luster to it. Like, there's no big expansion to kind of draw everybody back into the game. It's just like, maybe you turn on Destiny after you've been off for a few months and kind of see the new stuff that's been added into the game. I mean, how do you feel about the way they're planning to do things for at least for year 2 here?
I actually kind of like. I think it's got a lot of potential, because in the first year, you'd get one big expansion, and I mean, I think it was the House of Wolves. We basically blew through the story.
Oh yeah,
and
annihilated that in a couple hours.
Yeah, and the missions were done, and then we had the Prison of Elders to look forward to. But then that was it. That was pretty much it. Like, you had your select group of stuff, and then you had to wait for a long period of time. This kind of eliminates the wait for, like, maybe what's going to be the next raid. Maybe they might not have big expansions, but the slow trickle of quests and these different stories, maybe a few big quests like Frankie was talking about, like with the Cabal, and then boom, a raid shows up, and now you got a fresh raid, but you've had these quests that have led you down, like, the last couple months to keep it fresh, to keep you involved, to keep you engaged. I actually think that will work out pretty well for them. They can focus, the raid is like the big new expansion, not so much like a whole new storyline and all this jazz, because that's been added through with the quests. Now you just worry about when the raids will show up, and I think that will probably be pretty easy for Bungie to do if they can just create quests while they're at the offices, work on the big raid, and then the raid comes out, which has been supported by the microtransactions. And like these guys mentioned, just keep it to cosmetic, maybe some ships, some sparrows, But yeah, nothing that'll basically break the game or create kind of a pay to win. You know, if people want to buy dance moves and shaders and emblems, dude, let them, because people are gonna buy it. I mean,
Yeah.
I think most of us have already shelled out a little bit of cash for these dance moves, and if everyone's doing that, I think Destiny's going to be just fine, and I think the potential is there for a nice new way of approaching these, like you said, the slow drip.
Definitely, as long as they don't encroach on the gameplay, then
Right.
I think we're all in agreement on that. That's the way we want it to go. Bender, the future of Destiny, at least as far as year 2 goes. What do you think, bud?
I agree with the guys. If that's the way Bungie's going with the microtransactions, as long as it's not pay to win type stuff, if it's cosmetics, things, then that's fine. What I'm wondering though is, like, from a marketing standpoint, like, how are they going to be able to make a big deal out of little trickles of content? Like,
Exactly.
The Taken King had a huge advertising campaign. Like, it's been everywhere, on buses, on TV. Every time you turn around, they're advertising Taken King. I don't know how they would be able to tackle that and make it and get the word out about it if they're just doing little story packs here and there, and that's all. But like Brent said, maybe the raid will just have to be the big thing every time from now on. Like, if they introduce a new raid, they can make a big deal out of that and advertise for it, perhaps. So I'm not sure how they would do it, but if that's the way they're going to do it, I'm sure they'll figure it out. So
I mean, just like the sleeper simulant alone, like them just kind of like dangling that carrot, and then there just being like this big mystery around it. Like, I don't think they're gonna have a hard time finding ways to get their fans talking about the game and like just getting excited. And just like I said with sleeper simulant, like, you had all these crazy theories about how to get this gun, before it ended up being like this. Oh, hey, there's a mission. Hey, it's live, so go get it. I think they're not going to have a hard time marketing when, they have fans who are going to be all over this stuff the second, like, this thing shows up. Like, about it, Like, I don't know about you, but, like, the day that mission went up, I was on Twitter, and that's all I saw people talking about. Even you had, like, Forbes and, like, Wall Street Journal reporting out, like, all these weird outlets, like, yeah, this big mystery gun and this Destiny game's out there now, so go get it, guys.
That's a good point. Yeah, as long as they're keeping the content fresh and everything, they already have a huge fan base who are eager to consume it. So that is a good point. I'm sure they can probably get away with not as much advertising if they do a this sort of trickle down plan of content.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I don't think Destiny's a game that needs advertising right now. I mean, it does its own. It does its own. I mean, everyone talks about it. People play it religiously, and there's enough word of mouth. I think they can go by this system for another year, and then hopefully, I think the next big marketing push they'll do, if they are in fact going away from the expansions, I think the next big push will just be Destiny 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think in the grand scheme of things, it just remains to be seen how they dole out this content. Like, is a new raid, is that in our future, or is that something that's we're not going to see as part of the slow trickle? Like, what exactly are we going to be getting from Destiny throughout the months? Is it just going to be a random mission here and there that maybe gives you a new exotic or something like that? What are we going to get?
See, and that makes me wonder, how close are we to Destiny 2? I mean, if we're not going to get a raid, if raids aren't a part of this, they either need to make these other raids relevant again, or are we closer to Destiny 2 than we think?
I don't think so. Destiny 2 is going to be a year from the Taken King, and they're going to be on this year schedule.
Mm-hmm.
That's the agreement they have with Activision. I don't think they're going to push anything out before that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be a matter of how they dole out this content, and also, are they going to be able to give us new loot throughout this year as well? Like, are they going to put new exotics, new armor, new guns into the game throughout this year? Is that going to be part of the content that they dole out to us? That's going to be as important as well. We're going to want to keep the loot fresh. At some point, we're going to collect all the stuff we want to collect. Are they going to be adding new stuff to the pot for us to seek out? Obviously, that's the big draw of Destiny, getting the loot, building your guy up, getting more and more badass stuff. So it's going to be important that they keep up that end of the game as well.
Right.
One last thing I want to ask you guys about, and if you guys haven't finished the story mission, if anybody's listening to this, do not listen to these last couple minutes here. But I wanna spoiler warning out here.
Oh, hang on. Spoiler alert!
But I want to ask you guys what you thought of the end of the game, and what you thought Eris was doing at the end of the game. Just curious where your thoughts were. Bender, let me start with you. Like, what's going on at the end of the Taken King?
I'm not quite sure.
What's your theory? What are you thinking is happening?
I'm kind of wondering if Eris is up to something, suspicious or nefarious, possibly, because, I mean, we don't really know where her allegiance lies. We don't really know what her motives are. And she says something at the end like, now you've played your part, now I have to play mine, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just, I'll be curious to find out what that is, but, she's always been a shady character to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really know, I feel like maybe she's up to something that could come back to bite us later.
She's kind of playing. I was gonna say she's like playing the double angles right now. She's playing like this crazy bat that's just spews out crazy stuff all the time, and she's no real threat. But maybe she has like this interior motive. She's got something else really planned. Maybe she ends up being like one of the biggest Destiny villains of all time.
What did she really do with Crota's eyes?
Yeah.
I mean, she really is. She was basically, in the first year, she was just this crazy old lady that just talked about Crota incessantly, and then you have and then year 2, she's basically the butt of every joke that when Cade says something, everyone just basically makes fun of her.
Even Zavala was getting in on the action.
Yeah. So I mean, they've done a pretty good job at keeping her just kind of like as this just almost like just a silly character. But then at the end, we have this scene. I really don't know what that item is that she had or what it was. But no, that makes you wonder. Is Eris really who she appears to be so far?
Boy, I got this real like Bender said, this real nefarious tone from that ending scene.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like almost like you said, man, like she had an ulterior motive and all this. Like maybe she needed us to take out Crota and Oryx for her, and now she's got a grand scheme of her own that she can put into play now that those two are out of the picture.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. What say you, Frankie?
Yeah, I'm with you guys. You know what I mean? Like, as much as they rag on her throughout the story, I could see her, like, all of a sudden, like, the bandage comes off and, like, she's Crota or something crazy,
Like Oryx's ex-wife.
Yeah, she's Crota's mom.
she's actually the queen.
Oh, wow.
So it feels like something bad, though. We don't think that anything good is coming out of what Eris is doing at the end here.
No, I think she's going to be a major villain.
Yeah. So we'll see where that goes from here. I'm with you guys, everything you said on that. So it'll be fun to see where they take Eris from here. But that's going to wrap it up, fellas. That is our Taken King 1 month later. That's where we stand on the game. It's a market improvement from Vanilla Destiny, and we're all excited to see where the game goes from here. Of course, you guys follow us at The Short Pause on Twitter. Visit us on the website, www.shortpause.com. Articles, reviews, videos, all kinds of fun stuff on there. Come and check us out. We'd love to have you comment, join the conversation. We're always talking games on there. Our Twitter handles have been on here throughout the show, so you can follow us there where appropriate. Subscribe to our podcast and iTunes, all that fun stuff. I don't remember all the stuff that Brent says at the end of the podcast, so I'm just going to leave it at that.
Neither does he.
So thank you guys for.
If any of you out there need a clan, we are welcoming. We're very welcoming people.
Yeah,
Check
go
out
to
Short Pause Guardians.
Yeah, go to Bungie.net, search for Short Pause Guardians. Just send us an invite, send us a message, let us know who you are, how you found out, and we'll get you on board. And we've got guys that are playing this game just religiously.
Probably even more than religiously. Like their oxygen, their lifeblood is flowing through Destiny.
Dedicated folks, dedicated fan base.
Yeah, but thank you everyone who tuned in, watched this. Thanks to everyone who supports the site, who supports the podcast, who rolls with Short Pause on a daily basis. We appreciate you guys. And until next time, this has been a Short Pause discussion. The Taken King, a Short Pause discussion. Nice if I could talk at this point. The Taken King, 1 month later. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, guys.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye-bye.